Hello, folks. It's Friday, December 7th, 2017. It's that time of the hour for your favorite NFL and college football program. Welcome to another action-packed Week 14 of the Blitz Zone. Hi, everybody. My name is Eric Rosen, and I'm coming to you live from the studios of CTV in Staten Island, New York. And we have so much to get into, but before we do, which we'll be doing every single week, going over the current AFC and NFC playoff picture leading up to the final week of the season. So let's start in the AFC side of things. The Steelers and the Patriots are both vying for that number one spot that will give them home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They have pivotal Week 14 matchups coming up. The Patriots on the road in Miami, and for the Steelers at home. Now, against the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. They both win their matchup. They set up what should be probably one of the biggest matches of the year, Week 15 in Pittsburgh against each other, which could determine who will be the number one seeded team going into the playoffs. Then you got the Tennessee Titans right now leading the AFC South at the moment, though tied with the same record with the Jacksonville Jaguars. However, the Jaguars lost to the Titans back in Week 2, so the Titans have the tiebreaker, but when they play each other Week 17, it could be a Sunday night matchup to determine who will win that division. And the AFC West, one of the most contentious divisions, a three-way tie for first place. Kansas City Chiefs, winners of 5 straight to begin the year, now losers of 6 out of the last 7. Things have really turned for the worst for Alex Smith and company and their defense. Even though Alex Smith did have a good performance in their 38-31 loss to the Jets, it was the defense who really dropped the ball for the Chiefs. Now they're locked in a tie with the Raiders and the Chargers. The Chargers probably one of the best stories. Losers of the first 4 games and now winners of 6 out of their last 8 to climb out of the bottom in their first year in the City of Angels. While the Raiders right now are just every week fighting barely for victories, but at the same time always giving a fight no matter what. That I admire. As for the Baltimore Ravens, they hold on to that 6th spot with 4 weeks to go, so the playoffs are in their hands. They've missed the postseason the last 2 years. They are looking to get back and end the skid. With the Chargers, Bills, Raiders, Jets, Bengals, Dolphins, Texans, Colts, and even Broncos still in the hunt. Broncos, team that has lost 8 straight, worst skid since 1967, 2 years before the merger began. And the Browns, of course, unceremoniously eliminated, still winless at 0-12. The Jeopardy question for if they ever have a 2017 NFL season category: who did the Cleveland Browns beat for their first victory? What is no team, Alex? Now, on the NFC side of things, the Minnesota Vikings, winners of 8 straight games under the leadership of Case Keenum and one of the top 10 defenses in the league, now controlling the NFC North. And at number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles, whose 9-game winning streak was snapped this past Sunday night in their 24-10 loss to the Seattle Seahawks in the Emerald City. They have a pivotal West Coast matchup coming up with the number 3 seeded team, the LA Rams, the team that went from 4-12 last year, now at 9-3, best winning record since 2006, with their first-year head coach in Sean McVay and the offensive prowess of Jared Goff and the quartet of receivers, Robert Woods, Sammy Watkins, and so many other good players on this team that have done their best. Then you got the New Orleans Saints, who unfortunately last night lost their second game in the last 3 weeks. That's second game in the last 3 weeks, losing unfortunately to the Atlanta Falcons 20-17 off the late game interception by Deion Jones of the Falcons secondary. And then the Seattle Seahawks right now a game behind the Rams, and the Carolina Panthers holding on to that 6th seeded spot with 4 weeks to go. The Falcons, Lions, Packers, Cowboys, Redskins, Cardinals, and Buccaneers in the hunt. With the Bears, 49ers, and Giants officially have been eliminated from playoff contention. And speaking of the New York Giants, and need to always get a drink because I talked so much in the show. Sometimes I know I almost, it's a little bit too much, but I gotta do something for this whole hour. One silence for the entire hour of the show. Refreshing. Now, New York Giants just this past week on Monday fired Ben McAdoo and general manager Jerry Reese. Jerry Reese has been with the team for quite some time, more than McAdoo has been with the organization. After all, for the previous 2 years before he assumed the mantle of head coach in 2014-15 was the offensive coordinator. But these last 2 years, first year he brings them to a 10-win season and a playoff appearance after snapping their drought. They unfortunately lost in the first playoff round that they were in last year. However, against the Green Bay Packers, and that was due to, of course, Odell Beckham deciding I should be in Miami posing on a boat that Justin Bieber's on than actually doing some, practicing, looking at game film. That's what most players should do. I'm sorry, ODB. I don't mean to be insulting to you. After all, you did tear your ACL this year early in week 5, but you did screw up last year by not doing the right thing. Hopefully, your maturity issues that you've had in your career will be gone in 2018, and you'll be back to focusing on what you should be doing and what you do best at times, playing the game of football as a receiver and making cornerbacks look like fools. Now, as for the McAdoo situation, this was a long time coming since the beginning of the year. If you look at the Rams game, one of the poorest examples of his leadership, the defense literally gave up on him on a 3rd and 33 play to Robert Woods. 3rd and 33, and the defense couldn't do anything. Then that 67-yard catch to Sammy Watkins in stride. And some of the other bad, piss poor play calling that we've seen from this year. And the offensive line not being able to protect Eli and giving him enough time in the pocket to make any tangible plays. The running game, which is in the bottom 7th of the league at 25, averaging 84 yards a game. Then you look at the injuries to the receivers, mentioning both Odell Beckham in week 5 and Brandon Marshall with that shoulder injury, and of course losing several other players, and Sterling Shepard not being at 100% too, and signing people off the street or the practice squad. There was even the prevailing joke that Ocho Cinco wanted to join the team. But, that had nothing to do with Ben McAdoo. I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was a little funny at least. We need some levity. Giants fans need something to smile about because it really isn't this year when you're at 2-10. But I think they are smiling now that Ben McAdoo and Jerry Reese, especially Ben, who benched Eli Manning, the straw that broke the camel's back, the guy who started 210 consecutive games since November of 2004 when he was a rookie, had to sit last week in their 24-17 loss to the Raiders in Oakland County. Well, Ben, it was a long time coming. I know I shouldn't really clap for a guy who just lost his job. It's sad because it affects his family or whoever he's supporting or himself. But don't worry, Ben. I wouldn't doubt that some team in high school, no, I don't mean to be insulting to high school. High school football is good too as well. But no, in all seriousness, some team will hire Ben as an offensive coordinator. There's no way they'll take a bet on him being a coach again. Not for some time. He needs to really evaluate himself as a coordinator again. Then, if the time is right, take another leap at coaching. But for the time being, just stick to being a coordinator. As for Jerry Reese, I don't know if any team will want to put him on again. After all, he really messed up by not getting offensive line weapons to help Manning and the team out. All right. But say la vie to them. Spagnuolo is the interim coach, and they have a new interim GM for the time being, Kevin Abrams. And right now they have a new committee led by Ernie Accorsi to lead the search for the next head coach and general manager at the moment. Now, you know that song, It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas, toys in every... I don't remember the lyrics, but the point is, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas for Roger Goodell. He just got a new 5-year, $200 million contract extension via the compensation committee. That's an average of a little under $40 million he'll be making annually since he came into the league in 2006, replacing Paul Tagliabue, the former commissioner. He has amassed $216 million in total compensation in the years he's been. And he's going to need 85% of total potential compensation package from bonuses. That's what's coming from. And Arthur Blank, the head of the committee, is the person who initially led this his contract extension help. And, of course, as we all know, Jerry Jones wanted to block this via lawsuits, but decided to, well, actually didn't decide to give up. He was forced out of the committee for compensation because of this avenue he wanted to go down. And that's due to the fact he's not happy with the NFL stance with the national anthem and personally with how Ezekiel Elliott's suspension, how that was handled. So he had an axe to grind, but in the end of the day, nothing happened with the axe, didn't grind anything. Goodell got his new contract. He's looking good right now for himself. He doesn't have to worry about another cent. In fact, with the money he has, he's set for life. I hope he has a good accountant. I think he does have a good accountant. Just not H&R Block. I'm kidding. H&R Block is good, folks. Or the Taxman, either or, whatever you decide to use. Now, this past Week 13 had its share of suspensions and hits, including the debacle of Monday Night Football. Yes, the Steelers won in the closing seconds because of Chris Boswell's field goal, 23-20, but the injuries that mounted this game was beyond horrific to watch. Ryan Shazier had a spinal injury, and now he had to undergo spinal stabilization surgery. One of the doctors said that he may not even be able to play the game of football again. That's how devastating it was to watch. If you were watching that game, you looked on in such terror and horror, and you felt so bad for the guy. Even if you're not a fan of the Steelers, even if you're a fan of a division rival, I would think somewhere along the line, somebody felt bad for the guy laying there in the field. This guy worked his butt off, getting selected 13th overall out of Ohio State. Yeah, in the first round out of Ohio State in 2013. I don't think it was 13th overall, but nonetheless, he was selected out of Ohio State for his talent at linebacker, and he's shown that since he came into the league. And now he may not be able to play again. And that's really sad for this guy. And that wasn't the only upsetting moment. What really pissed me off was Juju Smith-Schuster, the rookie wide receiver at USC for the Steelers, on a block, on a devastating play. Yeah, it really is disgusting what he did. He knocks Vontaze Burfict, the linebacker of the Cincinnati Bengals, down. Then, to add insult to injury, he taunts the guy who's on the ground writhing in pain. He gets a 1-game suspension, and he got flagged for. Yeah, no, he didn't get flagged in that play, but still, he got suspended, and it was a crackback block, and it was just really disgusting display of unsportsmanlike conduct. It was uncouth. It was unprofessional. I know he's a rookie, but wow, even some rookies don't make mistakes like that. Hopefully, you'll learn, because you got a suspension for it. George Iloka also knocked Antonio Brown in the head after he had the game-tying touchdown to make it 20-all with about 4 minutes to go in the game. But still, he actually had the suspension, George Iloka, the safety for the Bengals, but he was able to get it appealed. So he'll be able to play this week for the Bengals. This game was just brutal on its face, and I'm hoping the NFL next year will decide on how best to discipline players when they commit infractions like this. And that wasn't the only game that made me upset, or the only situation. Rob Gronkowski, in their 23-3 victory over the Bills in his hometown of Buffalo, nonetheless, after Tre'Davious White gets yet another interception. The rookie for the Bills has done great. A lot of good interceptions, game-saving, changing interceptions, gets yet another interception on his back. And after the play is blown dead, what does Gronk decide to do but elbow to the guy's neck, in the back of his neck, while he was on the ground? How smart was that, Gronk? Really, tell me the thought process behind, let me see. What best way can I hurt my team and not play next week? Let me do something as stupid as hitting some guy on the ground when the play was blown dead. Because that's genius, Rob. That is so genius right there. It's so genius. You got a suspension, 1 game. Honestly, you deserved more than 1 game for that nefarious, disgusting display of sportsmanship, if you ask me. And I know from this you may never, I'll probably never meet you ever in this lifetime, but if I ever, did get the chance to meet you, you probably would not want to after hearing this shtick. But I'm really upset at you for displaying that. Yes, you apologized, But at the same time, you should have thought about what you did before the apology. You really should have used your head. And he didn't. He let his emotions get the best of him, and the worst came out of him. Speaking of another suspensions, Ravens cornerback Jimmy Smith not only tears his Achilles in the 44-20 victory over the Lions, but now got handed a 4-game suspension from the NFL for violating its rules on performance-enhancing drugs. Will decide to take the suspension, considering he's done for the season because of the Achilles tear. Was helping the team this year with 3 interceptions, but still, it's not good that players use performance drugs. There's no cheating in this life. You end up getting caught no matter what. So, just the thought process eludes me why players are so defined in doing stupid, unprofessional things or conducting things in such an improper way that it hurts not only them, but it hurts their team and their fan base in critical situations that could be down the line. Now, in the world of college football, Gus Malzahn decides he's going to stay at Auburn with a new 7-year contract worth $49 million. He's going to get $7 million at the end of this deal. There are rumors of him going back to his native Arkansas to be the head coach for the fellow SEC West rivals, the Arkansas Razorbacks, but those rumors are now put to rest. And an old name will be coming back to football. College football, that is. Herm Edwards. The 9-year ESPN NFL analyst and former head coach of the New York Jets and Kansas City Chiefs for his 8-year stint in the NFL will be the new head coach for the Arizona State Sun Devils. Congratulations, Herm, and I wish you the best of luck in this endeavor. Scott Frost, the former quarterback from 1997 for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, who led them to a share of the national title that year, will now be returning to his alma mater as the newest head coach after Mike Riley was let go following a awful 4-8 season, worst in Huskers history since 1967. Will now be replaced by Scott Frost, who led the All-American champions UCF Knights to an undefeated 12-0 season and will be playing on New Year's Day in the New Year's Day 6 bowl games. Congratulations to Scott Frost. All the best of luck to you. And Alabama will be losing its defensive coordinator, Jeremy Pruitt, to an SEC rival, the Tennessee Volunteers in Knoxville. Phil Fulmer, former head coach and now athletic director of the Tennessee Volunteers, decided to offer the job to Jeremy Pruitt for his outstanding recruiting skills since he was at Alabama, and a 2-time Broyles Award winner, which is given to the top assistant coach in all of college football, and this is his second stint with the Crimson Tide. He was there from 2007 to 2012. He had 3 years with the national champion Florida State Seminoles, including that 2013 season at defensive coordinator. Then he went to the Georgia Bulldogs for the next 2 years in 14 and 15, and the last years he's been as a Crimson Tide. He's the third such coordinator to leave Alabama Nation. If you look at 2 years ago, Kirby Smart was named the new coach of the Georgia Bulldogs, has done a very good job since. Last year, Lane Kiffin, the offensive coordinator at the time, left to take the Florida Atlantic job. Now is Jeremy Pruitt. Congratulations to you, Jeremy. It's better than Greg Schiano and what happened with that situation. All the best to you. And that's all the news this past week in the NFL. Now and college football. Let's go into some Week 13. Starting with the LA Rams visiting the Arizona Cardinals. Jared Goff, of course, and those awesome Rams, now at 8-3 at the moment, now 9-3, gets 2 big touchdowns. The game, what was crazy about this game, they had a 16 early points, including Alec Ogletree. The linebacker got a 41-yard pick six off of Blaine Gabbert to make it 16-0. Then it was 16-7 off the 2-yard rushing touchdown by running back Elijah Penny of the Arizona Cardinals. Then it was 16-13 off the 6-play, 70-yard drive, capped by the 15-yard touchdown to Larry Fitzgerald. The conversion kick, unfortunately, was blocked. But it was 16-13 with 3:25 to play in the half. But Greg the Leg Zuerlein made 19-13 with a huge 20-yard field goal for the LA Rams. And they ended up scoring another 13 points in the second half. They ended up winning 32-16 over the Arizona Cardinals. The Rams are rolling. The Cardinals without the help of so many players and the injuries mounting at running back, they're now down to their 5th and 6th running back, and it looks like the curtain will be on Bruce Arians' tenure in the desert. The Minnesota Vikings head into Atlanta in a huge showdown in the ATL, and the Vikings come up huge. Case Keenum, 8th straight victory, 2 big touchdowns, including the 8-play, 89-yard, more than 8-minute, 3 third-down conversion play that capped off the first play of the fourth quarter with a 6-yard touchdown from Case Keenum to the tight end Kyle Rudolph. They win 14-9 over those Falcons. Unbelievable. It was not a pretty sight for Matt Ryan and company, but they're still fighting, and they did win last night. I'll get into that in a bit, how they beat the New Orleans Saints. The Lions head into Baltimore, and Joe Flacco gets 2 big touchdowns on the day. They get an early 20-point lead, in fact, and Stafford and company had 3 critical turnovers. If you look at the strip sack from Eric Weddle off of Stafford that led to a touchdown in the second quarter, the fourth quarter interception that led to the clinching touchdown by Alex Collins from 22 yards to his right, and then the 45-yard pick six by Eric Weddle off of the replacement Jake Rudock with 2:26 left. And the reason Rudock came in to replace Stafford was Stafford got his hand hurt, and who knows if he'll be able to play this week. That could be a huge loss right there. And unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, Jimmy Smith had the injury, the Achilles tear, out for the year, and he got the 4-game suspension earlier this week, replaced by Marlon Humphrey, the rookie, who's done a really good job this year in that secondary. In fact, they have 26 turnovers, one of the best in the league in turning the ball over. They win 44-20. The New England Patriots go into Buffalo, the hometown, of course, as I mentioned, of Gronkowski earlier, who does something incredibly stupid on Tre'Davious White after the interception, and Tyrod Taylor, to add matters worse for the Buffalo Bills, gets a leg injury. Didn't do himself any favors with his piss-poor passing performance, but then again, what's the alternative? The 5 interceptions of Nathan Peterman from that classic game back in Charger Nation a few weeks ago? Yeah, because that really is working out so well. Okay, he came in, did some good things, but it was in garbage time, and it was against the Patriots. And instead of passing the ball, because there were no passing touchdowns from Tom Brady, they run the ball twice by Rex Burkhead. Unbelievable. 1 and 14-yard touchdown runs in the second half. This guy is just off the charts good. When you got him and Deion Lewis and James White running the ball, along with the way they can mesh that with the pass, why do you think they've now won 8 straight games? And on top of that, since week 5, the defense has really improved, giving up 11.6 points a game. That's best in the league in that span. Patriots win 23-3. Carolina Panthers head into Nolans to take on the Saints in an NFC South showdown. And Alvin Kamara, the rookie sensation, and he has been sensational, 122 yards from scrimmage, including a crazy 22-yard tackle-breaking touchdown gain on 3rd and 10, and the 10 on the screen pass with more than 2 minutes left in the game. And, of course, Mark Ingram getting several touchdowns on the day, including 85 yards he runs and a touchdown on the day. And it's unbelievable. I call it camming. The combo of camming at 248 total yards and 3 touchdowns. But unfortunately, Alvin Kamara suffered a nasty injury last night. Details on that a little later. The 49ers go into Chicago. The first start in the Jimmy Garoppolo era gets underway. 293 yards, but no touchdowns on the day. However, the drive that basically won them the game, because they're down 14-12 after the Tarek Cohen touchdown. And by the way, Tarek Cohen is the running back for the Chicago Bears. He had one of the strangest special teams touchdowns from 61 yards out. He gets the ball. He goes back 15 yards. He runs to his left down the left sideline for a 61-yard touchdown. By the way, he's the first person since Gale Sayers in 1965 to have a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, a punt return, and a kick return touchdown all in the same season. That is just really something right there to be in that company. Well, anyway, getting back to the 14-12 lead that the Bears have over the 49ers, what does Garoppolo do? He leads them on a game-winning drive. A pass to Trent Taylor on third down for 33 yards at the Chicago 18 with 2 minutes left. Kyle Juszczyk, one of the best fullbacks in football, keeps the drive alive with a 3-yard run on 3rd and 2 at the 10, leading to the game-winning Robbie Gould 24-yard field goal in the closing seconds. And Gould gets one over his old franchise with a field goal, 15-14 victory. And you should have seen what he did on the sideline. Like, yeah! You should just to the team that cut him before the 2016 season. Just to let them know, this is what you get for cutting me. The guy who is the all-time leader in field goals and points, and that's what you do to me? Well, guess what? I came back into my old house, and I stomped you guys and got a victory for my team. Congratulations, Jimmy and the franchise. I think they found their quarterback of the future. Now they got to get some other pieces to help Jimmy along. Jimmy got soul. Jimmy got soul. And he did. And that was from Dreamgirls, one of my favorite movies. And, Jimmy Early, played by the Academy Award nominee and one of my favorite comedians, Eddie Murphy. But I'm not going to get too much into films right now, but that's why I did the whole Jimmy Got Soul thing, because it would just fit. Now, the Steelers and the Bengals, AFC North rivals, play each other in the Queen City, or they call it the jungle, wherever you like to call it, but nonetheless, just don't call them late. Well, they were caught off guard by the Steelers, who were down 17-0, and yet the Steelers, they weren't going to go quietly into that good night. Oh, no. Rage against the dying of the light. Well, Antonio Brown gets the game-tying 6-yard touchdown to make it 20-all with about 3:51 to go in the game. Then, Chris Boswell gets the game-winning field goal in the closing seconds from 38 yards. Second straight time he does it. The Steelers win 23-20. I already talked about the disgusting, acrimonious injuries and penalties, including the 173 that Cincinnati received in this game on 13 penalties. It just is abysmal, and it will get me really mad if I talk more about it. So I'm just going to leave. I already made my point. So moving on. The Browns, winless, hopeless still, head into the city of angels, and no salvation was in sight for them. Philip Rivers and company, he gets 344 yards. Keenan Allen had another third straight 100-yard performance, on 105 yards to be exact, on 10 catches. Melvin Gordon had 97 yards on the ground. And how about DeShone Kizer? 2 turnovers, another interception. I believe this is number 16 on the year. And this is his 4th fumble. Yet he did get David Njoku, the rookie at Miami, on a 28-yard touchdown for the Browns. But this is the Browns' now 30th loss in 31 games since late in 2015. And 1-27 for Hugh Jackson, his second abysmal season. And by the way, the Chargers were the team that the Browns beat last year, Christmas Eve, in order to get a victory. Yeah. Live television should never have a phone at all, ever. It's just not right to the viewers. Sorry about that. My apologies. Never again will that happen. Now, getting back to the Browns-Chargers, Philip Rivers and company, 344 yards from him, hits Keenan Allen for a huge touchdown. Even with Cleveland trailing 19-7, they still get a field goal by Zane Gonzalez. They lose 19-10. The Chargers, 6 out of their last 8, and you wonder why Keenan Allen has been a big part of it. If you look at the 172-yard game he had against the Dallas Cowboys, right there, that game alone showed you, including that 42-yard touchdown, why he's been a huge part of this, along with Melvin Gordon on the ground and the defensive combination of Joey Boss and Melvin Ingram. Those two are monsters. Probably the best 1-2 punch in pass rushing in the league. So congratulations to the Chargers on this victory, and to the Browns, my condolences, including your Sashi Brown getting let go as VP of the team. Now they brought in John Dorsey, the former front office man for the Patriots and general manager of the Chiefs. First priority, he said today, to get a QB. That was a gut shot to DeShone Kizer. Speaking of gut shots, the Denver Broncos are giving their entire city in the Rocky Mountains a gut shot with a 35-9 loss to the Miami Dolphins. Kenyon Drake, 120 yards, 23 carries, his best career performance for them. And the massive turnovers that the Broncos had, and the 2-point conversion